DJ finally finished Spider-Man PS4, so it's time to talk about it. So you finished it last night.
Yes.
How do you feel? Overall
I feel good.
thoughts
I feel
on
good.
Spider-Man?
I really like what they did here. I think it's a really good foundation to build a franchise off of. Like, I think they do some fun things with the characters. And I'd like to see them. I don't know about you. I really got that feeling of like, this is them kind of like testing the waters a little bit. So now that they've done it, it's been super well received. I kind of like to see them like really dive into it and commit to the premise they've done and really kind of like stretch themselves a little bit more. Because I got to imagine with all the things, not just the narrative, but the mechanics, there's so much to try and consider in a game like this. That now that they've done it, they can refine it. And I think that's where the magic happens. Just like Uncharted is a good game. Uncharted 2 is gold. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of waiting for that gold in the next game, you know?
For me, I wrote this in our notes. It's my favorite Spider-Man story that I've played. Where I know you pointed out that there are similarities. There are, but I think this is the perfect hybrid of all of the stories that you've seen. Yeah. And there might be some spoilers in this. The game's been out for a month now. We can talk about it now.
Beat it, so you should probably be caught up.
Doc Ock's the way they dole out his story throughout the game, I think is really cool. And actually, you understand really well what he and Peter mean to each other, which I think is really cool, which I did not get that in Spider-Man 2. You get enough of it.
Well, in this one, you were able to build out more. They didn't just meet. You're able to build out more of a relationship. And I think that might be the strongest relationship in the game. There's other characters, spoilers, that the ending wants you to be like, oh, and I was like,
oh, for me, no, it got me for all the characters. The way they introduce Miles and the way they use him in the game for a lot. There's a lot of really cool missions where you get to play as Miles, which are fun. And I like the way that they
Miles' characterization is really good. He's really likable.
This is a cool way to introduce him to this universe for what they're doing. And I like the way they use Mary Jane. You've mentioned before when we talked about it that it seems too similar to Lois Lane, or it is Lois Lane. But I like that, like, whenever you're more of a Spider-Man fan from the comics, whenever I thought about the other Spider-Man movies, it just didn't feel like it ever connected with what happened with Spider-Man except for Damsel in Distress. Like, like in the movies we've seen her in, the first one, Green Goblin gets her. That happens. Second one, Doc Ock gets her. That happens. Third one, dancing in the jazz bar. Like
I think the problem with Mary Jane and a lot of love interests in general is it's not a way to, if you want missions where you play them, there's not an easy way to do that in a game like this. I would have chosen a different, part of the reason Mary Jane kind of became Peter's love interest in the comics is she had the most personality. So it's harder to change up. Like, I would have rather this been Gwen Stacy, who originally was kind of a blank slate, and so that would have been fine. Or I think there's a character, Nora Winters, from the comics that is also a reporter for the Daily Bugle. One of the nitpicks I have for this game is it feels a little piecemeal. Like, you look at the costume, it starts with the costume. You see elements of the classic costume, but then you have the white spider, like from the black costume, and then you got the eyes from the new movie. It feels like a bunch of piecemeal. The story feels that way. Like, Mary Jane is Lois Lane. His relationship with the cops is Batman's relationship with the cops. Doc Ock is a combination of kind of like Green Goblin and Doc Ock, to the point where his final lines are, there's straight lines from Green Goblin's speech at the end of the first Spider-Man in his final monologue, which is kind of distracting. So I'm kind of hoping.
I don't remember that.
I'm kind of hoping that now that they've kind of like, again, that confidence. I hope they can just instill a little bit more confidence into their storytelling, because they do try, as much as this is like the Batman Arkham games. Those games really have a premise, and then they run with that, and it works for them. This one really tried to make a story. So now that they've done that, I kind of hope they're able to, like, you know, stuff like we get a good sense of Peter's relationship with Doc Ock. But I couldn't really tell you why Octavius fell out with Norman. I just know they did, and it's a big plot point.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I don't
understand. I don't really understand Mr. Negative's motivation. We get an inciting incident, but there's decades in between that and now. And so, what was his life like? And we spend a weird amount of time with it. Also, something I hope in the next game, because we're going to talk about what we'd like to see in the next game. I'd like to see more balance in the boss fights, because they are very sparing for like the first 2/3 of the game, and then there's a ton of them, and I feel like they could have paced that better. Because as a fan, I'm excited to get to the big villains. Like, I want to, like, and all the boss fights are great. Like, Shocker's great, Tombstone is great. They've got a lot of, like, the Mr. Negative's really cool, and when you get to the Sinister Six, it's really fun. I just wish we could have gotten a little bit more of that earlier, so it's a little more balanced out.
Like an opening to the game could have been cool with him, because you get Kingpin, but like but it didn't even feel like it because it was so early on.
I also kind of wish maybe, I don't know story wise how you would have done it with the story they chose to tell, but maybe you fight the Sinister Six individually, because by the time you get to them, they're all teaming up with each other, and I'd like to get a sense of fighting them on their own, so that when they do team up, you're like, oh shit.
Could have been fun. I did like that they were formed in this game. I think that's kind of a fun way to introduce it.
And Doc Ock's reasoning for it is interesting.
And for those specific people, he's like, I could help you guys. Yeah. And I like that, like, they also tease, like, he's been doing this for a lot. This isn't new. Yeah. He could have been doing this for a very long time, and I like that too. I will say that Mr. Negative, I'm like, oh man, you're kind of this is murder. Like, this is like, this is even like villain stuff.
It's more than just
like
murder.
Terrorism.
It's like terrorism. Yeah. So it's even Doc Ock's, like, the way they seed it out, it's like stage 1, stage 2. Stage 10. Now he's full crazy and he's released a thing. And it's like, whoa, we went to 0 to 60 real quick on that. You know what I mean? But I don't know, little stuff like that, but it's still really good.
I also enjoyed the fighting mechanics, but they could improve upon, like, if you're in a fight, this could be too hand-holdy, but it's like you could let Peter turn and the camera be more intuitive to where Spider-Man's actually looking and make it a little bit easier to use.
Movement. Long distance movements, amazing.
Yeah.
When you're, I can't tell me how many times I was in a stealth mission and I just want to climb to the other side of the wall, and suddenly I'm just swinging around everywhere and they've all spotted me. And
it's like just I want to jump over this vault, and it's like, dude, 7 webs came out and you're across the city.
or even just you walk up to the wall and all I want to do is cling to the wall. That's all I want to do, and there's not like you have to do the wall run and all that stuff. It's like, no, just let me press a button and I'm on the wall.
That's what I'd say. And with the side missions, there are plenty that turn out to be be really fun. With side missions in games, this game actually made me want to finish them, which is very cool. But a lot of the times,
because you're not really an open world side mission guy.
No, thank you. Because it's like, I just want the story, and I can, if the game's good enough, I will come back and I'll do it. And this game is one of those where I finished a good amount of them before I finished the story mode. But now it's nice that I still have more game to get through, even though narratively a lot of them are all over the place. They're like, uh-oh, people are escaping from Rikers right now. And it's like, no, they're not.
They're not. Because after you beat the game, it's like, it's pretty chill.
Yeah, but now I'm just going through and doing the random, like, crimes that are happening throughout the city. But I will say, please, no more drone stuff. Those are the worst. Like the swinging time missions.
Fortunately, there's only a few of those on the Taskmaster ones, but they are not the funnest.
The same thing, though, is the pigeon one. Even though I like the emotional stuff of why you do the pigeon one, I was like, oh, please, just...
those were definitely filler. Those
are the last ones I need to get done. And every time I get close, I'm like, I'm just so bad at this.
The Taskmaster stuff is cool. It was a cool use of that character. And a character I didn't expect in a Spider-Man game.
Yeah, it was really cool. And but I do say, for the sequel, let's get into the main topic. I like the teases for Miles. That's really cool. And this is totally new territory. Do whatever you want to do for this specific duo. And I like the tease with Harry with the Venom symbiote. Like, is that an alien? Is that the cancer version of it from the Ultimate Universe?
Or a combination of both. It is interesting because you're full spoilers, like we said. There is a tease of it simultaneously kind of teases Green Goblin and Venom, which is interesting because those characters are not normally conjoined in any way. So I'm interested to see what direction they take it in. Now, I do have a question for you because I'm a big Miles fan as well, but I think you and I have kind of a different opinion on this. For me, if Miles and Peter are sharing the same universe, it's strange to me that they're both Spider-Man. I use the example, we talked about this before. I use the example of, like, if originally you got Flash and then Kid Flash, for whatever reason, Wally has literally the same exact accident. It'd be like Flash going, cool, now you're also the Flash. And it's like, well, that's confusing.
Well, they did that.
But he's the Flash now, but originally he's Kid Flash. Yeah. He's a different character. And then Barry died, and then he was Flash, and now Barry's back, and now it's confusing. Like, however many years later, now it's confusing. In this world where Spider-Man's still active, and we get Miles with the powers, which the way they integrate it was as natural as it could be. Are you okay with him also being Spider-Man? Is that weird for you? Do you think he should have a different code name?
No, I don't care. It's fine. It's like when you had Batman Incorporated and he made different Batman all over the world, and they had different slight names, but it's Batman. It's the same thing. No, you can have 2 Spider-Men, and also it could be the way that you in the next game, you don't get Miles in the costume. You don't get Miles in the costume to the 3rd game. That's a trilogy, and that's when Peter either dies or leaves. It's like that. So you get Miles being trained, and you get, like, the student that thinks he knows more than the teacher in the sequel, and then in the third game you could have him like traveling abroad or going to college or something like that. So you're seeing Miles like advance, and he's ready to like go. He's ready to be the Spider-Man. You can have both, and I think it doesn't change any stories. It doesn't make any stories harder. It's just like Spider-Man can't get everywhere all the time. Yeah. New York's a huge city. Even though you're able in this game, you traverse in about 5 seconds. It still takes you an extremely long amount of time. So I'm fine with there being multiple ones.
So another way they could do that, I was thinking, if they decide, because what I would like to see in the next game, I definitely want, sooner rather than later, I want the black costume. I'd like the symbiote story because I like Venom. I'd like to get there. Could we see maybe Spider-Man get corrupted by the black suit and Miles has to step up and stop him? Yeah. And that's what results in him ditching the suit and eventually becoming Venom.
Yeah, that would be, I think
that'd be cool. That'd be a cool way of doing that stuff.
Yeah. And if you had Harry being the one in the Venom symbiote would be a really, also they teased Eddie in the game, which was cool. In one card from the Daily Bugle, it was like when I left, it was like, yeah, Eddie Brock works there. So he's in the game.
I did get punked a little bit. There's a trash worker that's named Eddie. So you call him for a second, like, "Hey, my name's Eddie." I'm like, "Oh, no, it's not.
It's just a random guy.
It's just a random guy named Eddie. Don't get too excited."
No, I like if it was Harry, I like the idea that it's like, because that would mean a lot more to Peter based on the Peter we know. And like, fine, switch it up if you want to. Like, there's been a million people.
Harry's been Venom. I think in the new Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, it's fine.
Yeah, have some fun with it. And if you make it similar, he could have similar ramifications for like what Venom means to Miles. Yeah. That Venom is responsible for
a lot of bad things to Miles. Although bad things have already happened to Miles in this universe.
Oh yeah, lots. Oh, in this, this one it's awful. Yeah. But if you wanted to make it more awful, you could dive into that, and it could add emotional states for Miles and for Peter, and it could put them at odds as well. But also for other villains, we were teased Sandman in one of the backpacks you find. You have also Sandman's in there.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know if I release this file if Sandman will be released, but I don't intend to find out. So it's like, wait, so you've just you've just illegally detained this
and then you forgot him in a backpack. You didn't remember he was there.
There's also a tease for the Lizard.
He did,
I think it's a broken vial that he used to cure. He says to cure Kirk Connor's bomber didn't hold, and it seems super depressing. Like, what did the Lizard do?
And I think there's a Mysterio tease too. Or if there wasn't, there's a character you could. These game developers could have a lot of fun with that character.
Another one that I'd like to see, just because he's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, is Kraven. Kraven is always at the top of my list of villains I'd like to see because the other top ones we usually get. Doc Ock's also a favorite. We usually get him, and this is a really great version of him. You know what I mean?
And since the guys who wrote this game also are writing the Spider-Verse event right now, the Spider-Geddon, whatever. Yeah, it's it would be really cool to get some other Spider-Men.
Well, apparently it's teasing possibilities for the sequel.
It could be cool. That's some of the things I'd want to see. It's more villains. Venom, I would like to see Miles over like 3 games kind of like get teased. Also, if Mary Jane got a suit for like a second, I wouldn't be mad if that happened. It's always fun when you do that and stuff. I would be on board with that, but I think I'm excited to see emotionally what Miles means to Peter and what Peter means to Miles. And and since with everything that happened with Aunt May, it's like, let's see where Peter is at emotionally.
I do like Spider-Man having a team Spider-Man. I think it's something smart that the CW shows have done, and I liked him having Miles and Mary Jane as like a support team. You know what I mean? So we'll see how Miles' change affects that. But yeah, I'm super stoked for a sequel. I feel like with as successful as this game is, we will definitely be getting it sooner rather than later.
This game was teased like almost 4 years ago, though. It's been a minute.
But they already have you don't have to rebuild New York, I don't think. You know what I mean? Like, it's there, and they don't have to change the mechanics much. Did you have a favorite gadget?
I really liked the trip mines. Those were super easy because you can put them on people, so it's like, oh, I'll just wait for you to run until that thing goes off. And also rooftop fights when you could. The only time I'd ever use this thing was the air cushion thing, and you just like push.
Air cushion I finally figured out how to use. You use your web bomb, web up a bunch of people, then air cushion them, and they hit the walls and stick, and you're done with them. That was pretty good too.
And I also just realized if you update like the normal web thing up to like 10, you can web up like 9 people and just and hit them.
Which also the most useless gadget for me was the electric one. I never used it outside of story missions.
The most useless one was the 0G when I was like, what do I do?
Actually,
with
I
this.
did use that a lot because it made these people. It's 10 less people fighting you right now. You can just go up and punch the shit out of them.
Oh, okay. Maybe with the Sable agents that would have been good.
Yeah.
Maybe bring Silver Sable
agents
back.
were tough. Bringing Silver Sable back would be cool.
That's another little criticism because
kinda
all of a
bummed
sudden
we
she
never
was
got to
like,
fight her.
yeah,
it's a boss waiting to happen, and we never got to fight her.
she was in there for a second and she was like, oh, I must change my whole ways, but I'm not bringing any of my soldiers out of this city that are weaponized.
Because gameplay wise, you need them to be around.
Yeah,
so.
until we're done with the game.
Yeah, we're definitely torturing people. But
yeah,
you know, whatever.
100%.
Are you excited? You're getting the DLC, right?
Yeah.
Are you excited about that?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll let you guys know how that turns out. We'll talk about it on this show and on the podcast. I like when you guys write comments. We also like when you guys subscribe and hit that bell notification. That way you get a little ding on your phone when you get a new video. It's pretty cool. A lot of videos come out on this channel. Also, a lot of cool content over at onlystupidanswers.com. Also, patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. Just saying. You got Super TV Showdown, our TV review show. Also, you got a lot of other coverage that I can't think of. Twitch.tv. Tune in Wednesdays, Thursdays. You guys get it.
Bye-bye.
Sound like I got kicked as a kid in the head. Kicked by a kid in the head.
Yeah.
That's more
As an
my
adult,
life.
you were an adult and a kid kicked you and did some real damage.
They get height when they jump. I don't get height. They get a lot of height.
You still jump higher than them.
Yeah, but they get a lot more height than you
for
think.
Their body proportion.
Yeah.
It's the proportional height of a child.
I got bit by a kid and now I am the kid man. I have the proportional strength of a toddler. So no kneecaps and a giant fucking head. I can't hold my head up. And my digestive system is basically just, it's a hole where things fall out. Marvel, don't take C's. That's mine. That's my character.
Trademark.
My teeth are all loose.
But you get new ones.
You get new ones. Just like kids do.